The government was going to make amendments to FOFA. One of those amendments was removal of opt-in. That unfortunately didn't occur. As a result, the opt-in obligations for financial planners and licensees commence from 1 July 2015. You'll be required to start sending out renewal notices for new clients from the 30th of July this year. Opt-in obligation applies to new clients. The definition of new clients are those clients that you provided personal advice from 1 July 2013. It does not apply to those clients who you've provided personal advice to prior to 1 July 2013. Those new clients also need to have been signed up to an ongoing fee arrangement that's greater than 12 months. So a new client is someone you provided financial advice for from 1 July 2013, and you've signed them up to an ongoing fee arrangement that's greater than 12 months. The obligation of opt-in, and I should just remind everyone that this is different to the fee disclosure statement, so it's a separate obligation. Opt-in is the requirement to send a renewal notice and have the client actually opt in or sign or acknowledge that they would like to continue paying the ongoing fee arrangement. So the law requires that you issue a renewal notice. You must issue that renewal notice within 30 days of the anniversary date. The client then must acknowledge that opt-in within 30 days of that renewal notice being sent out. The renewal notice itself needs to include information about what this is, why you're sending it out, and the implications to the client if they do not opt in. For example, that the fees will be stopped, they'll be turned off, and that you will no longer be required to provide advice to that client. The renewal notice needs to be returned by the client. Now, it doesn't have to be in writing. The renewal notice, provided that it's evidenced or there's some record that the client has acknowledged to opt in, you can do it during your annual review and have the client sign it there in front of you. You can also use electronic means to have the client opt in, for example, via email or online verification. What you can't do is just have a verbal consent. It does need to be recordable. The first point is that if a client doesn't opt in, you have then a further 30 days to make sure you turn off the client's fees. And that may include you calling and speaking to the platform providers and product providers. And you then will need to stop providing advice. If you do fail to do that, so if you, for example, do not turn off the fees or try and turn off those fees and continue to receive those fees, you'll be in breach of the opt-in obligation. If you fail to send out the renewal notice within 30 days, you'll fail to meet your opt-in obligations. The breaches for failing to meet your opt-in obligation, there is a penalty, $50,000 maximum penalty for an individual and $250,000 maximum penalty for a body corporate if you fail to meet your opt-in obligations. As part of the FOFA reforms, with the opt-in obligations, there was an opportunity to be able to conform to a professional code instead of having to conform to the law in respect to opt-in. The FPA has lodged a opt-in code with ASIC to have approved. It is at this point in time still not approved. Therefore, financial planners and members of the FPA must continue to comply with opt-in until such time the code does get approved. The difference between the FPA code and complying with the opt-in laws is very different. Though the policy intent to make sure that you renew an ongoing fee arrangement with a client is still the intent under the FPA code, you won't be required to meet the strict 30-day rules that are in the opt-in obligations. And you will be able to renew the agreement with the client within a period of 3 years instead of 2. Also, the process in which you do that will be more flexible in terms of meeting your own business administration objectives and your client's needs in terms of that process. So it's more flexible. However, for those of you who do want to rely on the FPA code, once and if it is approved, you will need to actually opt in to use the FPA code and sign up to that, and you'll be on a register which will indicate which advisors are relying on the FPA code versus relying on the law. For further information, the FPA through the website under the Member Centre has the bulletproof guide and the Q&As in respect to opt-in. So there's more information regarding different scenarios around opt-in with the Q&A and fact sheets. We also have an opt-in video, other videos, and we will also keep you up to date in terms of information regarding the progress of the FPA code, if and when it's approved, when it will commence, and the process from that point onwards. So for all information, go to fpa.asn.au.